These are the 8 best things that you can do to help you fully let go of your avoidant ex, even if you still love them. The first is to understand that love isn't always enough. You have done everything in your power to try to show this person how much you love them and are committed to the relationship and making things work. They just simply did not appreciate it at all when you're in the relationship. But there's a part of you that is always going to wonder if there's more that you can do. You may even feel like there is, like you just need to figure out the right formula, and that's what's going to wake this person up finally and actually want to show you the same love that you showed them back to you. But the thing that we have to understand when it comes to an avoidant is that they have such a strong fortress built that it causes them to not express that same love back to you. So while you are sitting there doing everything again to show this person the love and care that you have for them, they're leaving you high and dry and not really showing you anything. And if they do, it's only for a little bit of time, and then when you get comfortable enough and you open up in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable, they begin to pull away. But essentially where you want to get to is understanding that your love was worth it. They just essentially did not get to the place where they could appreciate it enough to show you the same affection back, and you are essentially loving yourself more to not chase somebody who doesn't want to even meet you halfway. Number 2 is to accept their emotional limitations. Now, this is something that I think a lot of people struggle with when they're in a relationship with an avoidant, is understanding that this person really does have limitations as to how much they can express to you. And this is obviously due to their avoidant attachment style and how they've curated it depending upon what had happened when they were in their younger age, when they first built this avoidant attachment style. This is what you need to realize with yourself, because there's going to be a part of you that really thinks that you can essentially change this, right? That you can go in and understand what is going on and kind of help them, guide them through this. And there are some cases where someone is able to do that, but typically these limitations are on the avoidant, and they have to be the ones to want to actually work on that, right? They have to really focus on what is necessary to help them to work through that and really process it themselves. And a lot of times this is going to take a lot of help from a professional to help them work through this. But the biggest thing that you need to take away from this is understanding that they had a very hard time expressing that love back to you, right? There may have been a part of them that did love you or whatever that might be, but because of this avoidant attachment style, this is going to cause them to not be able to really express that emotions, because that's a vulnerability to them, and that's what's going to cause them to have this reaction, because they don't want to feel that. It's a state of uncomfortability, and it's for them, they don't want to ever really express those emotions that way. So there really isn't much that you could have done in order to try to help that and make them to actually open up, because this is something that they're going to have to work on in some way or some form before they can actually do that. Number 3 is to stop holding on to the potential. This happens across any type of breakup where you sit there and you look at what things could have essentially been, but this especially happens with an avoidant, because you are essentially being put through this cycle, right? Where things are looking great, you guys are finally looking like you're hitting some type of stretch or path where you're going in a right direction, and then out of nowhere they end up going right back to their avoidant ways. They pull away because they feel uncomfortable or whatever it might be. And this can cause you to feel like there is potential here, because when things were good, they were really good, and you guys were actually bonding and connecting. So of course it's only going to be natural for you to want to long for that potential and want to try to do whatever you can to make that a reality. But what you have to really understand is that this is not on you at all. This is on them. They have to work through this avoidant attachment style if that potential is going to come to fruition. And chances are they're not ready to make that change yet. And even if they are, it's going to take some time for them to actually work through that and process it. So while you're holding on to that potential, it's making it very hard for you to let go of them, because that part of you really wants it to work, because you do genuinely love them. And maybe down the road you will be able to, but right now it's most likely not going to happen, because again, they are going to have to do so much in order to work through this, and it's going to take a lot of time, which leads perfectly into number 4, and that is to cut the hope loop. This is something that I know a lot of people who have gone through a relationship with an avoidant end up happening, right? It's because of that cycle that you're going through, where you are essentially being led on, and then you make to feel like things are working out, And then you just essentially go through that cycle where they pull away and they do their avoidance stuff. And it just consistently grows and leaves you in this feeling of hope that potentially you'll be able to get there, because they're showing some signs that they are working through this in some way or some form. But typically what is happening here is that they're just trying to do whatever they can to keep you on the hook, right? They don't want to lose you because there is a part of them that does love you, but they just keep allowing this avoidant attachment style to get in the way, which causes you guys to never really make any progress. It's like you're running on a treadmill, right? You're just consistently running on it, and you're not getting anywhere. And that's essentially what can cause you to feel hope, right? Especially when you are looking at the potential of what things are, and maybe there is something there, but you have to understand that sometimes this person needs to get the space away in order for them to work on this. And this person might not be the person for you. You might not want to be in a relationship with someone who's going to consistently be this way because, you've done everything that you possibly could. You've tried to get this person to wake up and to see how this avoidant attachment style is really damaging to the relationship, but they haven't got to that point yet where they would want to change that. But it's important for you to understand that you've given every optimistic view and chance that you possibly could to making this relationship work, and this person just has not been able to get there. Number 5 is to not only just grieve the person but the fantasy. What this essentially is that you have created an image in your mind of how things could be if this person would just drop this avoidant attachment style. And this is something that has been your North Star for so long, right? You have committed to it and you have really designated all this time and energy into trying to make it work because you have a feeling of what that could be. And that's essentially what you want to have. And over time, that fantasy almost becomes a reality in the sense that you feel like you are so close to being able to experience that in real time. So you begin to end up having these two areas where there's the reality of how things are and there's a fantasy where you want things to be. And that's where you have to kind of grieve, right? You have to grieve, of course, the person and losing them, but also how things could have been, the reality of where you guys could have had and the experience and all these things that you have thought in your mind of how things could have essentially gone. So it's important for you to essentially look at that and understand that as much as it's going to be important for you to grieve that person fully, you're going to have to grieve the fantasy of how things could have been as well. Number 6 is to create emotional distance. Now, this is essentially what you've always heard of as called no contact, but it's so crucial that you are doing this because you need the space away from this person. If you are in any type of communication or if you see them, it is going to continue this cycle over and over again because you are not in the right mindset to be able to separate yourself from what's going on versus where you want to go. And knowing that you want to essentially let go of this person because you know that it's over or you need to find something better in your life. And this is essentially where you need to get that space away so that you can do that. If you are in the same environment that has hurt you or is causing you to feel this pain, your body and mind goes right back into that mode because it's used to that. Even though it knows that it's not the right thing, it's just going to repeat it because that's how we are. We are habitual beings. So it's so important for you to understand that you need to get complete distance from this person. And that means going completely no contact, removing them on social media, blocking them wherever you need to block them, changing your routine if it involves them potentially running into you. This is something that is so crucial here because, again, you could do all of these steps and you could really make some progress, and all it takes is one instance of this person being in contact with you to kind of throw you off your game, and it could cause you to spiral. You'll get to a place where you'll be emotionally strong to be able to handle those situations, but right now you are way too vulnerable and you need that space to get you to build that up. Number 7 is to reconnect with your self-worth. This is something that you have probably dealt with for so long because this is what tends to happen when you go through a relationship with an avoidant. You end up having all of your self-identity, your self-esteem, your boundaries, all of these things that made you end up being teared down and reformed into what you are now. And there may even be some good things here. I'm not trying to say it's all bad, but what you are essentially trying to do is you're trying to reconnect with who you are again, right? It may be a newer version of you, it may be the same version of you, whatever that looks like for you. It's so important for you to spend time with yourself and figuring out what that is, because no matter what relationship that you go through, you guys are going to build each other up in your own eyes. It just happens when you go through a relationship. And when you end up separating, it's going to be an identity crisis because you don't fully know yourself outside of that relationship. The things you guys did, the routines, all the things that you needed to be in order to make the relationship work, that's going to need to obviously change now. So this is where you need to kind of sit with yourself and figure out who you want to be again. What makes you you? And it's important for you to be patient with yourself because you are going to have to work through some things. You may be upset because of the way that you changed and all these other things, and that's okay. We are going to change in some way or some form. But what's important for you to do here is to be kind with yourself and to be patient and figuring out, again, what makes you you now. And that should be your most priority, is to rebuild that person again. And number 8 is understanding that letting go makes room for love. I know that it is so hard for you to want to let go of this person because you're in fear that this person is the only person that you're going to ever love in your life, or whatever else that you're trying to tell yourself. But it's important for you to know that that's not the case, right? You're going to find somebody else who's going to love and care for you the way that you want. It's just that things did not work with this person, and that's okay. It sucks that you had to go through this, but at the end of the day, you need to let go of them so that you can begin to heal. You will find somebody else that's going to love you and care for you and want to work with you to make things work out. But the only way that you'll get there is if you begin to let go of this person so that you can figure out what you need to do to heal. Because if you don't heal, you are only going to bring that baggage into the next relationship, and it's not going to work with that person. So it's important for you to know that by you letting go, you are not giving up on everything. You did everything that you possibly could to try to make this work. This is on them. They just, for whatever reason, could not get out of their avoidant ways to try to make this work. And it's important for you to have grace and know that you're doing this for yourself. You're not giving up again. You are doing what is necessary so that you can begin to redefine who you are again and have a life that you want with a partner. Every day that you are committed to this and putting yourself first and knowing that you're doing this for yourself, that's what it takes. And before you know it, you are going to get to a place where not only are you healed and you're moved on and you're thriving again, but you'll start to see more people coming into your life who are the actual potential partners that you'd want to have, until you'll find somebody who you are in love with and you know is the right person. But the first thing that you need to do here is to prioritize yourself and know that you are doing this for no one else but yourself. I hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.